Here's how this is going to work, and it's entirely down to you. I'm going to ask you some questions in the spirit of a proper debate, and you've had a lot to say so far on the show, and a lot of it aimed at me, which is fine. But I want you to try and answer the questions. It's a proper debate, okay? I'm not trying to trip you up.
No, it's not a debate. You're running the show. You bring in your victims up front.
Actually, no.
Look, you got your little note cards.
Yeah, okay.
I just gave you FBI statistics
Fine.
that violent crime and gun crime is down over 20%.
Alex, let me just ask you
And
this.
you want to go to little factoids.
No, they're not little
Anybody
factoids.
can pull those up. Listen.
The fact of the matter is, predators are amongst us, and we have to recognize that fact. We don't live in a utopia. Our citizens have to be armed to protect themselves from these madmen.
So what is the solution then? I mean, is that the solution to stop these tragedies, is for everyone to be armed? How do you stop this from happening again?
Not for everyone, but it certainly ups the probability of successfully stopping a shooter before you have 20 dead, 30 dead.
Joshua Boston.
People will choose or whether or not...
Go on.
People will choose whether or not to carry if they want to. I've made that choice, as have hundreds of thousands of other Americans. And should we unfortunately ever find ourselves in a situation to protect others in our lives, we will.
But the law is the law if it becomes law and you're just willing to break it.
Unconstitutional laws aren't laws.
Okay.
Theater. Our Stacia Wilson is live downtown with the latest on this story. Stacia? Stacia, are you there? Let's try it one more time. Stacia? No Stacia. There she is. I hear her. Go for it, Stacia.
Okay,
Go for
all
it.
right. Sorry about that. That's right. Today, the officer, Sergeant Lisa Keogh Castellano, received the Medal of Valor for her act of bravery. The Bexar County Sheriff Sergeant was met with a standing ovation as Sheriff Amadeo Ortiz presented Castellano with the Medal of Valor. Sunday night, Castellano chased a gunman as he ran through the Mayan movie theater on the city's south side. Investigators say Jesus Garcia ran into the theater restroom. Castellano yelled for people inside the building to get down on the ground. When Garcia came out of the restroom, Castellano ordered him to drop his weapon. When he refused, she shot him several times. Today, she spoke about the experience on camera.
Just all the panic, you know, the chaos, that was really nerve-wracking, and it was I'm not gonna lie, it was frightening, but you know, the training kicks in, and thank you to the Sheriff's Office for all of the training that we're given.
Off-duty officer Armando Oguian was also recognized at today's ceremony because he heard the gunshots and came out of one of the theaters and assisted Castellano in apprehending Garcia. Today, Sheriff Ortiz thanked both officers for putting their lives on the line in order to protect the public. Reporting live from downtown, Stacia Wilson, KENS 5 Eyewitness News.
Hey guys, all right. There's another shooting, and I wanted to talk about this particular shooting because I personally think that it was a good thing. This was one of those times when having a gun was wonderful.
A 15-year-old at home with his 12-year-old sister when burglars try to break in.
That's when investigators say the boy grabbed his dad's assault rifle and started shooting, and he hit one of the men repeatedly. This all unfolded this afternoon in the 2600 block of Royal Place Court.
Yeah, 15 years old, and he wasn't spraying bullets. He was shooting. This is a kid that has training and is evidenced by the fact that he hit the guy not just once, but several times. This is proof to me that the father was a good father. He trained his children in the proper use of handguns and firearms.
Reporter Sherman Min Chow talked with neighbors and investigators. Anxious family and friends crossed the yellow tape into a surreal crime scene.
Now, I don't understand why she's concerned. Why is she so sad? I guess these people were just, their neighbors, and they're like, I can't believe all this happened. But I would be thrilled. I'd be like, great. They finally took out these criminals, these people that have been terrorizing our neighborhood. And we can be sure that that guy, the adult that got shot several times, won't be back. Not in this neighborhood. That's a guarantee. So she should just relax and be thankful that that 15-year-old was on the ball.
A 15-year-old boy and his 12-year-old sister had been home alone in the Mount Royal Village subdivision. Then about 2:30, a pair of home invaders tried the front and back doors, then broke a back window.
This should be a lesson to all the little criminals out there that think that they can just do what they want. I'm sure what they did was they hung around, watched until the father left, and then once they saw the dad leave, they said, oh, these are just a couple kids here. We can get in. First they tried the front door. Then they tried the back door. No luck. Let's break in a window. Bad move. Bad move. I'm guessing the criminal's probably going to die from the massive wounds because an AR-15, probably shooting a .556 round, is going to do a lot of internal damages, probably go right through the guy, but rip through a lot of mess. And, getting hit several times with an AR-15, not a good thing. Hopefully this will be a lesson to a lot of the criminals. I know every time that we've had an issue where there's been a major gun purchase by Americans because they were afraid they were going to lose their Second Amendment rights for some reason or another, we've seen crime dramatically reduced. In the 90s, when Clinton passed the ban in 94 on assault rifles, gun sales went through the ceiling. And because of that, crime rates dropped dramatically where the victim met the criminal, because the criminals didn't want to see the victims. They were afraid they might have a gun. And even if a criminal has a gun, he doesn't want to have a shootout with an armed victim. He wants to come in with his gun and be in total control. So they stay away from the victims. They don't go in and do house invasions and stuff like that. So we're going to see a huge decrease in these crimes here over the next couple of years. It's going to be amazing. Of course, crime has been decreasing where the victim meets the criminal for some years, especially since Obama was reelected, or was elected the first time, because, of course, we had this big scare on guns and everybody bought them. The guns are everywhere. And just like in this case, the father had a gun. He left it in the hands of the children. We hear all these people saying, oh, this is, we should hold these people responsible if they leave the guns in the hands of the children. Well, guess what? This is a police officer who left the guns in the hands of the children. Why? Because he trains his children to protect themselves. That's what it's for. That's why he trained his children, and that's why he left the gun in their hands. And thank God he did, because there's a good chance we would be seeing a different story. A story of 2 dead children and criminals stealing lots of money and guns and whatever else they got out of the house.
Protecting his sister. He was in fear for his life and for his sister's life.
The brother grabbed his father's assault rifle and knew what to do with it.
He sure did know what to do with it, because the guy that was trying to break in, the adult, is in terribly I mean, I don't even know if he's going to live. Most likely not. But the teenager that was with him, they took and walked him through this crime scene.
His dad is a Precinct 1 deputy constable.
We don't try to hide things from our children in law enforcement.
The children were not...
See, and that's real important. He said, we don't try to hide things from our children in law enforcement. We don't hide our guns. We keep our guns in plain view where the kids can get to them. In fact, the kids know where they are. They know how to use them. There's no trigger lock. They're not in a safe. The kids have their hands within arm's reach at all time to grab that gun. I know there's going to be some people who are going to cry for the poor criminal and say, oh, look, he was just trying to get in there to get some money for his drugs or food or whatever it is he needed. You know, we don't know what his plans were and what he would have done to those kids had he got into that house. But one thing that should be real clear, and the media should be flashing this all over the news, is that if you come into my house or anybody's house, there's a good chance that you're going to get shot dead. I'm glad the kid hit him several times. I wish that the kid would have made a loud statement. Anybody who goes into a house where there are children alone, planning on robbing or doing whatever, we don't know what they're going to do, deserve whatever they get. So if that kid comes out shooting, good for him. And so sorry, Charlie. You know, you get shot dead, tough luck. You know, guess what? You have the opportunity not to go in. You have the opportunity to go get a job, go work at McDonald's. You know, go grow some food somewhere. I don't know. There's plenty of freebies out here. Obama's made sure that you can get all the food stamps and all kinds of free assistance that you want. You don't have to go around killing people. You don't have to be going into their houses. But if you come into my house, just be forewarned. There will be bullets coming your way.
Home invaders fled, leaving a trail of blood. 2 suspects showed up at Tomball Hospital. One, the adult, had multiple gunshot wounds and was flown to Memorial Hermann Hospital.
And the chances are he was flown to another hospital because of the injuries were so serious that they couldn't handle him there. It's probably not a trauma center. Now, he may or may not live. And, you know, personally, it would be a great example to the world if everybody would show this and say, look, this guy might die because he did this. But you know what? The media is not going to do that. This is a local channel, and it won't be national. If it would have fallen the other way and the kids would have got shot, well, you know it would have been an international story because the media is anti-gun. And we know that, and we know that they're biased, and we know that they are outside of mainstream of America. And we saw what they did to Ron Paul. We saw what they did to George Zimmerman, and now we see what they're doing here. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out what the plan is. It's my opinion they would like to see Obama become a dictator. And as we know, with all dictators, the first thing they have to do to become a dictator is to take away guns out of the hands of the good people. And that's what's happening right now.
Over the past few weeks, the argument over gun control has raged, and among those demanding stricter gun laws is CNN host Piers Morgan. There's one particular stat that Morgan has been citing for weeks. In our commitment to balanced news, Ben investigates the truth behind it in Reality Check.
Last night on CNN's Piers Morgan Tonight, Morgan interviewed radio host Alex Jones. And to say it was wild, well, that would be an understatement. Here's just a small clip.
Answer this question. How many
Why'd you get fired from the Daily Mirror for putting out fake stories? You're a hatchet man of the New World Order.
Let's try again. How many gun murders were there?
Oh, you're going to ban your fist now?
In Britain last year.
How many chimpanzees can dance on the head of a pin? I already went over those statistics.
Do you know the answer?
No, I don't.
You said hundreds.
It's very low.
You said hundreds.
Yes.
It's actually 35.
Well, the point is you can...
Against 11,000.
As I said, it was wild, and it got even more wild than that. But we wanted to take a look at some of that exchange because the stat that Piers Morgan was continuing to cite, one that Great Britain, which banned guns about 15 years ago, had only 35 gun-related murders in 2011, compared to the United States, which had 11,000. Let's start there, because that number is not correct. According to FBI crime stats for 2011, there were 12,664 homicides in the U.S. Of those, 8,583 were caused by firearms. But of those, 400 are listed as justifiable homicide by law enforcement, 260 justifiable homicide by private citizens. On the other hand, it is true that percentage-wise, Britain has a lower gun homicide rate. With a population of 62.6 million, Great Britain saw 59 gun-related homicides for 2011. Still not the 35 Piers Morgan keeps citing. But that shouldn't be surprising that the gun homicide rate in a country that bans guns would be lower than in a country where guns are not banned. Where the argument falls apart is when you attempt to claim that fewer guns equals less crime. The U.S. has the highest gun ownership rate in the world, an average of 88 guns per 100 people. That puts it first in the world for gun ownership. Yemen is second with 54.8 guns per 100 people. So that means the U.S. has the highest gun murder rate as well, right? Well, no. Honduras, El Salvador, and Jamaica have higher rates. So do 24 other countries. The U.S., despite being number 1 in gun ownership, is number 28 in gun homicide with a rate of 2.97 per 100,000 people. Of course, Piers Morgan isn't calling for the U.S. to be more like El Salvador and Honduras. He's calling for us to be more like Great Britain. So what do the numbers look like there? The U.K. has the second highest overall crime rate in the EU. The U.K. has the 5th highest robbery rate, the 4th highest burglary rate. But more importantly, the EU named Britain as the most violent country in the EU. In the UK, there are 2,034 violent crimes per 100,000 people. That puts it way ahead of even South Africa, with a rate of 1,609 per 100,000. In the United States, we're not even in the top 10. The U.S. has a violent crime rate of 466 crimes per 100,000 residents. So what this means for you is that while people like Morgan insist that the U.S. can learn from Great Britain, well, maybe we can. What we might learn is that violent crime is not the result of a gun or any tool. It is the result of the heart of men and women. And that is Reality Check.
You can find the sources for the story posted on our website at fox19.com. If you'd like to make your voice heard in the story, head over to Ben's Facebook page. Find it by searching Ben Swan.
And we are also putting a link to the full interview between Piers Morgan and Alex Jones. It's 2 parts. It is.
It's worth watching it. Instead, I was reading it last night.
You need to watch it.
You need to watch it.
You have to watch it.
Yeah.